Good morning, everyone, and welcome to National Apprenticeship Week. I'm your host, Ali from Career Map TV, and today we're joined by National Grid team to discuss their apprenticeships at National Grid. During this session, you will learn more about the specific ins and outs of the apprenticeships and what it's like to work at National Grid. This session will be recorded and will be on our website within a week. There will also be a Q&A at the end of the webinar, so feel free to leave any questions in the Q&A or the chat box, and we'll come back to them at the end of the webinar. Without further ado, I will pass on to the National Grid team to commence their session. Over to you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny Pearce. I'm the UK New Talent Manager based at our head office in Warwick. Can everyone see the slides? There we go. Yeah, so I'm wondering what's happening with that then. So great that so many of you on the call today. So the team who are hosting again with me today will introduce themselves as we're going through the presentation. But I'll just kick off with some overview of the apprenticeships and the terms and conditions before I pass on to the team who'll talk a bit more about their experience whilst on programme. So we'll have with us today is Jess Butcher, who's on the Advanced Apprenticeship Programme. We've got Shirali, who's on the Higher Apprenticeship Programme, and Ashley, who's a finance graduate. So we have got a new finance apprenticeship programme that's launching this year. So Ashley's going to talk a little bit about that. Unfortunately, Jess Fletcher can't join us today, but any questions that we have that may be directed to the development side of the programme, we can either answer them today as best as we can, or we'll get back to you as soon as possible on them. So hopefully you will know a little bit about National Grid. So it's a leading international electricity and gas company. So we connect people to the energy that they use in the safest possible way. So we're obviously lots of different challenges every day in a green future, etc. We have around 26,000 employees working in the company at the moment, so roughly around 16,000 in the US and 10,000 in the UK. So a little bit about the apprenticeship training. We are looking for the next generation of talents to come into the company to meet the future energy demand and changes. As I mentioned, there are a range of apprenticeships that are available, and we'll talk about those in a bit more detail as we go through the slide deck, which is the start of obviously a great career. With the apprenticeship programmes, you are obviously trained up while you're earning a salary as well. So that's sometimes an advantage for those that decide they don't want to go to university, where they potentially end up with debt at the end of it. So it's a great way to earn and learn at the same time. We run most of our training at our training centre at Equin, which is in Nottinghamshire. So it's a great facility, and hopefully some of you will get to see that facility at some point in the future. But again, some of our trainees that are with us today will be able to talk about that in a bit more detail too. So just starting with our advanced apprenticeships, generally have a minimum requirement of GCSE level. So that's maths, English language, and usually a science or another sort of subject. It does vary per programme, so please do check the adverts to check the exact requirements of what is needed. So on an advanced apprenticeship, you gain a level 3 qualification on a 2.5 or 3 or 4 year development programme. As well as the GCSEs, we do look at equivalent, so it could be a BTEC equivalent that meets the requirements, but again, just please check. And sometimes there's a requirement to have a full valid UK driving licence, or be willing to learn within like 12 months of joining the programme, or as soon as possible after your 17th birthday. The business areas that currently recruit advanced apprenticeships are the electricity transmission part of the business and National Grid Ventures. So the electricity transmission roles can be based anywhere nationwide in England and Wales. National Grid Ventures roles tend to be at the Isle of Grain, which is in Kent. So some of the perks of the apprenticeship programme. It's a starting salary currently of £19,328. On top of that, you get 25 days holiday annual leave, plus statutory bank holidays as well, which is roughly about 8 per year. You have the option to sign up to the pension scheme and share save options. And as I've mentioned, the 2 to 3 or potentially 4 year quality and development on the training programme. For our higher apprenticeships, this is generally a minimum of A levels. So we look at 2 A levels, which again varies depending on the role that you're applying for. For some of the programmes, for example, finance and HR, they will accept 2 A levels, grade C or above in any discipline. However, for some of the other areas, it could be that you have to have maths or physics, especially if it's an engineering type apprenticeship. So again, while you learn, develop all-round skills through the practical experience that you'll gain. You'll gain a level 4 qualification and can even study for a foundation degree. And as I mentioned earlier, without having that debt at the end. So the salary at the moment, the standard is 25,874. However, for our new programs in finance and HR, that does the starting salary is 22,000, but there are other benefits that are associated with that. So again, please do check the advert. Again, 25 days annual leave plus statutory holidays, pension and share save options, which we recommend that you do look into and sign up to. And again, that quality learning development as you go through the programme. So with our apprenticeship programmes, we have opportunities available in the electricity transmission side of the business, electricity system operator, finance and HR, as I've mentioned. Strategy and external affairs is also a new programme that's they're recruiting for this year. And there's procurement and IT and digital. So there's quite a range of skills and roles that are available to apply for. So now I'm going to hand over to Jess, who's going to talk a little bit about her experience on programme. Thanks, Jess.
Hello. So as I've been introduced, I'm Jess. I'm currently a third year apprentice doing the advanced apprenticeship programme for the electricity transmission. So I'm going to be working in the substations. For the advanced apprenticeship, you spend roughly 70% of your first year up in the training facility, and between first and second year, you'll obtain some sort of qualification. I think they've just changed it over. I did City and Guilds. I think it's now gone to a different one. But you get qualified and then you do loads of training programs which allow you to be able to learn and really appreciate all of the equipment that you have to sort of maintain during your job role. I've really enjoyed my time doing that, and I'm more excited now coming into third year to spend a lot of time working on site. So I'm really going to get in with my team and get all of my logbook done. Yeah, it's been really fun so far, and they've been really accepting as well because I am a little bit different, as we say. When it comes to applying for National Grid, I applied for National Grid because my dad actually was doing the role that I'm going to be going into. I was on a completely different career path. I decided to go somewhere different. I was originally doing veterinary, and then I decided that wasn't for me. So I tried university before and then decided an apprenticeship would be better for me. And having helped Dad on the mechanics for quite a while, it just seemed like a fitting position. So I gave it a go, and here I am. The application process, it was a little bit different for me because it was during COVID, but it has sort of fed into the application process now. It does mimic that. So a lot of the application process is online with games, and I think you do an online interview as well now. But really, they support you all the way, and everything, any questions you need to ask whilst you're applying, there's normally a point of contact or some email address that you can get hold of. There's always somebody that you can ask, reach out to. Of course, you've got social media to try and reach out to as well. So it's really inclusive and you can get all the help you need. When applying for National Grid, I would say do your research on National Grid values and see how you already apply yourselves into those, and really show them yourself. They like to see who you are, your personality, and why you really want to do this job. Let yourself shine through. For me, working for National Grid really has been an adventure so far, and I'm really excited to see what's going to continue happening as I've come to the end of my qualifications now, and when I really get stuck into my role, fully coming out of that. The best things working about National Grid, I'm really big on inclusivity. I faced a lot of employers in the past which maybe weren't as accepting for me having bright coloured hair and piercings, and so they're really accepting of how I want to express myself and who I want to be, and they really are working towards that net zero, which I find really important as well. Everywhere you go, everything's on about getting back down that carbon footprint and trying to really get there, so it's really good. Yeah. Enough of my ramblings now. If I'd like to pass on to Shirali. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shirali. Just explained very well the apprenticeship process and a bit what's going on. I'm in the first year, so I'm still doing the stuff, but I'm the high apprenticeship. So with me, it comes with university. So I'm doing a university, and generally it's Aston and Birmingham. So you'll be traveling around, and the training person, as just said, is in Nottinghamshire. So you will coming there. For the first couple of 3 years, you will be traveling around everywhere because it's a training process and it's specific training, specific places. And my apprenticeship is involved substation engineering. So I will be working a substation on the equipment and what is there, how to fix them. So I'm still learning these kind of stuff. National Grid is an amazing place. I decided to come here because I want to do electrical engineering or something to do with engineering, and they provide the best opportunity, the best training. And when you go to Aston, they obviously, if people are interested to go university and learn about it, they provide the other side of it and without cost, without everything. Plus, you'll get the salary and everything around with it. The application process just will go through later, or my colleague will go through later how to go. I mean, apply or what's the stages. And when you go online, there will be stages where to go to. The job specification will explain what kind of application is. But if you have any question and you don't understand, I will happy to answer, or my colleague will answer. The bit of hint, as just said, you need to just be yourself, be honest, and do a bit of research. I would say mostly on with what does this say in the job specification, because they won't ask you a question that is outside the contents, or do you think you are properly an engineer or something, because that's our job. But you do want people who are interested, who really want to learn, or who's just be as honest as possible and get yourself out. National Grid is an amazing place. Be inclusive, diverse. So there's no about that who's who. The training facility we have one of the best training available there. We have internal training or external trainers, and when you go to university, again, that's external. Even any university is like that, so that's a bit different. But again, there's a support available and thing. And when you go to site, obviously, will be hand on hands, so there will be something expect from you, such as logbook. But there will be people who helping. Like I just went my side, there was managers, there's people who there was ex-apprenticeship who will be help you to do that kind of thing. Yeah, that's all for me, and I will hand it to Ashley now. She will explain.
Hi everybody, so my name's Ashley and I'm a first year finance graduate at National Grid. So a little bit different to Jess and Shirali. So I'm going to be talking to you about the new finance apprenticeship scheme that's just been put in place. So as Jenny had said, this is a new scheme that's not previously been offered before. It's so you get, the people that apply and are successful this year, you're going to be the first cohort. But it is worth mentioning that National Grid do offer a finance graduate scheme and an industrial placement scheme. So they're not new to offering, these sort of learning environments for young individuals to develop their career within finance. So if anything, it's an excellent opportunity for you to work alongside the finance graduate scheme and the industrial placement students to learn and develop your skills within a positive and influential support network. We have regular meetings, which we'll incorporate the apprentices into as well. So yeah, any queries and questions, the finance grads and the industrial placements will be there to support you. In terms of the scheme itself, so it's a level 4 apprenticeship scheme that is 2 years long. So you'll complete either the AAT or the CIMA certificate level, and that's done with the 20% off the job training. which we'll go a bit more into sort of what sort of roles you'll be looking at a bit later on. But the requirements for the level 4 role include maths and English at level 5 and above, and 2 A levels at grade C or above. But there is no requirement for you to have any prior knowledge in accounting and finance. I personally started the graduate scheme without any accounting and finance knowledge either, so that's all your development and training is given to you on the job for you to pick up those skills. So yeah, don't be put off if you don't have that background knowledge already. You get the opportunity to learn that on the role. So upon successful completion of your level 4 apprenticeship, you'll have the opportunity to move on to the level 7 apprenticeship, and that's where you will complete either the CIMA qualification or the ACCA qualification. So working towards becoming a chartered accountant within National Grid. During your level 4 apprenticeship, you'll probably be based within the R2R team, which is record to report. And that's where I'm currently based. This is a role within finance at National Grid where you'll see the day-to-day fundamentals of accounting, essentially. So you'll learn how to prepare journals, you'll learn how to analyse profit and loss accounts, completing reconciliations. All of those sort of roles will take place within record to report, and it's a very good position for you to see how finance is incorporated into National Grid as a whole, because within record to report, you're kind of like the hub of finance, because all payroll, project costs, expenses within the business, that's all sort of processed within R2R. So you get to learn the fundamentals and the basic principles of how finance functions within National Grid before moving on to placements within the finance function when you're doing your level 7 apprenticeship. So in terms of developing skills and developing knowledge, R2R is a really great place to give you that understanding. And for me personally, as somebody who came into R2R with no prior accounting knowledge, I'm in the transactional accounting team currently, and I've only been in the team for 5 months, but the amount of knowledge and understanding of how that all works has grown rapidly in that short space of time, even more than I thought myself, because everybody within transactional accounting, they're so used to having learners within that role. Previously it has been finance graduates, but it's absolutely no different when an apprentice comes into that position as well. They're not expecting you to know everything. If anything, it's the other end of the spectrum, and they expect you to come in with no that your base knowledge, like my own was, they're happy if that's absolutely nothing. What they are looking for is somebody who is confident enough to speak out and say, I don't know that, or I don't understand that, could you explain that to me please? And they've got all the time in the world to give you those answers. They're very open to answering any queries you've got. There's no such thing, I'm sure you've heard it everywhere, but there really is no such thing as a silly question. When I started, I had so many questions that I didn't understand or I didn't know, and everybody within the transactional accounting team are so supportive, and they want to see you learn, and they want to see you work your way through National Grid and become successful. So they absolutely will sit down with you and explain whatever you need to. In terms of tips for your application, I think, as Jess said before, the most important thing for me is to show and evidence how you can live the National Grid values. As I've said before, there's no requirement for you to have accounting knowledge before you come to us. So those of you that do have accounting knowledge aren't going to be favoured over those of you that don't. So you need to make sure you stand out as an individual. You can look towards your hobbies, your time at college, or anything in your life basically that shows that you've got exactly what National Grid is looking for in terms of your personality and your behaviours that you show on a daily basis. So for me, I think that would be the most important thing to get across when doing your applications. I know it's a very nerve-wracking process. I personally went through something similar with the finance graduate scheme. So if anybody's got any questions or anything like that, I'll be very happy to answer those, or any questions about the scheme itself. Yeah, just ping those questions over and I can see what I can do. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Ashley. So back to me again now, and I'll talk you through the application process and what that currently looks like. So stage one is an online application. We do ask that all candidates apply online, upload a CV. There's a number of pre-screen questions as well that we ask that you complete as fully and as accurately as possible. We do ask as well that you only apply for one position, but there is a question around if you'd be interested in other positions too. So you complete the online application form. It'll take about an hour to complete. So obviously you can save it and return to it later if you wish to do so. And we do ask details about, your personal details, work history, if there is anything. And there is a motivational question too about why you've applied for National Grid, what interested you in the role. So again, we do encourage that you do complete that question. The business do like to review that to see what people's motivation is for applying for the role in the company. So my team screen the applications, and for those that meet the benchmark, they're invited to stage 2, which is to complete some online assessments, which is hosted by a company called HireView. So it's a digital interview, on-demand video interview. There's a number of short questions for the apprenticeship programme. I think there's about 4. So you do get time to practice, and I do recommend that you find a quiet space, practice, read through the details that are sent to you, and also there's some videos that are online from some of the managers across the company. So I encourage you to look at those too before you submit your digital interview. So there will be a number of questions. You will see the question, be able to practice, and then submit your question. And then the third stage is the profile assessment. So once you've completed your on-demand video, you'll be asked to complete some game-based assessments. And these look at different elements of like personality, like cognitive, emotional, social traits. And once you've completed those stages, you will get a feedback report that's sent to you from the system. Again, my team review the digital assessments. They are initially scored by AI, but my team do look at them. And then for those that have completed the assessments, they go into sort of rankings of top, middle and bottom tiers, which my team look at. And for those that meet the benchmark, they're invited to stage 4, which is the assessment centre. So currently, our assessment centres are held virtually unless there's a real need to be on site. For example, there might be a tower climb for one of the apprenticeship programmes, so you have to be on site to do that. The assessment centre currently consists of an interview and a group exercise, which has a presentation element at the end. Again, details are shared with candidates before the event, so you've got time to prep, etc. For those assessment centres that are held in person, the majority of those will be held at our Eakring site, as we mentioned earlier, which is in Nottinghamshire, or the Grain facility, which is in Kent. We do ask, if you are invited to take the online assessments, I think you get 7 days to do that. So we ask that you do that as soon as possible. And obviously you get some time enough time to prepare for coming to assessment centre as well. So our assessment centres for the apprenticeships will start at the end of March. So some hints and tips when applying. So we do ask that candidates apply early. For some popular roles, we can sometimes close the advert earlier than advertised. Some of our roles are very popular, so we do encourage an early application. Give yourself plenty of time to check and submit your application. Don't rush it, just make sure you've answered everything as fully as possible. We do have deadlines, so please stick to these where possible, because it's not always possible to extend close dates if we get a request to do so. If you're unsure about any part of the process, just ask. We will share the careers.box email address with you at the end of the presentation. So please just ask and the team will get back to you as soon as possible. We recommend that when you're doing your assessments, whether it's online or in person, that you prepare and use the STAR method when answering questions, interview questions, so that you can answer your questions fully as possible and show your capabilities. And the STAR model is the situation, task, action and result. So that does form a full basis of the response that you give. So think about any challenges that you may have come up against and how you've dealt with that. It's always good to put into. And if you haven't heard of the STAR model, I'd recommend Googling that and prepping as much as you can before any interview. Consider the space that you're in, especially for your higher view assessments. So there's no distractions and you've got time and you're comfortable. Obviously, always check in Wi-Fi connections, whether that's for your online assessments or actual assessment centre as well. And then obviously just complete and do everything to the best of your abilities. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and hopefully enjoy the process as you're going through it. So that's it. I think we finished a little bit earlier than planned, but thank you for listening. It's great to see so many people on the call today. We can open for questions now.
Oh, there we go. That was great. Thank you, guys. Now, let's crack on into the questions, shall we? So Peter says, are there any other apprentice opportunities other than what is shown in the presentation? I'm sure there are.
Yeah, so we've got quite a wide range of opportunities this year, whether it's engineering, HR, finance, procurement, IT and digital. So they are quite varied this year. So yeah, we just recommend that you check the website, have a real browse through and see if there's anything that is of interest.
Amazing, cheers. And on to the next one. Question from Benji. What do you think are some of the most challenging aspects of your job? Good question.
I would say, but the higher apprenticeship would be the university, because some people doesn't like it, and that's the reason they come to the apprenticeship. And sometimes it's just a bit broader than the specific, where our training is very specific on what you're going to do in future, and the university just give you our role. And so it's interesting, but it can be challenging. And as well as the logbook, obviously you have to complete that by the end of your apprenticeship. So to putting that, and when you go on site, booking holidays, so that can be a bit challenging.
Cheers. Question from Fern. Hi, hello. What do you think sets National Grid apart from other energy companies?
I think National Grid are forward thinking. They're constantly changing, reviewing processes, policy, initiatives that obviously for that green future as well. I think we offer quite a wide range of good programs. So, and obviously being accredited programs as well. Earning while you learn. There's quite a number of different reasons why we think we're one of the best companies. Guys, is there anything that when you were joining, what set National Grid apart for you?
I think. Sorry. Yeah. For me, I think I noticed from day one, I guess, the culture that you submerge yourself in when you're working at National Grid, whether that be flexibility around where you're working and how often you go into the office and so forth, which I know, many other energy industries are still office based. So having the flexibility to work from home was definitely a big one. And just the culture and inclusivity of the way they accept each individual person for who they are. There's so many different employee resource groups in place that support individual needs, such as there's one for women in National Grid, there's ones for Pride, Faith. So there's so many different support options for you at National Grid that suit your individual needs, which I think definitely sets it apart from other energy companies.
Amazing answer. Cheers. Question from Kerry now. There's another one for the apprentices. How does National Grid support its apprentices in their professional growth? Can you give any examples?
So I can help with this one personally. I felt like I faced quite a few challenges during school and my academic career because I was always held back and didn't get really much support in the way with ADHD and neurodiversities and things like that. And then coming into the workplace, it's been completely different. I've had more support in my role and my progression and them trying to help me actually be better in myself first, and then secondly in my job than I've had anywhere else. I've actually got help in understanding myself and how my brain works rather than just being told to deal with it. I've been given opportunity to have aids and adaptations for the workplace. So I've got software on my computer to help with write-ups. I've been pushed and challenged to come out my comfort zone, but it's been done in a nurturing way. So doing things like this and being able to speak to people, I wouldn't have dreamt of doing that before. But now I'm quite happy to try and help people get to their future place. So they've helped me become better in myself to then be better for my job. So yeah.
Amazing answer. Very nice. And on to the next one, question from Molly. How close are National Grid to reaching net zero currently?
I don't mind taking this one. So National Grid obviously have the goal to be net zero by 2050. And it's my understanding that they do set interim targets each year to ensure they stay on track to reaching that target, which they're currently on track to do so. So in terms of progress so far, they've reached a 70% reduction in their greenhouse gases since the 1990 baseline. So the work they're doing is definitely supporting that target. And like I say, there's so much going on in the office to help cut down those emissions and to reach that target. And I think a new one that was recently implemented was to do around food waste, which is not something people would often think about, but at National Grid, they're thinking outside the box to try and tackle it in ways that other companies possibly haven't. So that's, I think they're doing great work to reach that net zero target.
Amazing, fantastic. Question from Benji. Well, what opportunities are there for advancement within National Grid after completing the apprenticeship program?
Me and just both have the similar role. So when you finish, I think for my one, when you finish the apprenticeship, you will be authorized person to a substation. From that, then you will they want you to work toward senior authorized person. So from there, then it's different because the company want you one way, or if you change your mind, you become a lot of people I see. My manager herself is the manager for the whole East London. He come the same role, so you can also work toward commissioning engineer. So there's a lot of role available. That's why the company is so big. And if you don't like one of the role, you always look around and change. But even you come through the apprenticeship stages, there's a lot of option available, what to choose, what to not choose. But even after career, when you find out, you can always change and do a lot of things around.
I think it's worth touching on that as well. You'll know from being within the company and talking to other people, it's so often heard that you're the future leaders of the company. So there's so much time and development put in place for apprentices and graduates. So the development is basically what you put into it. You can go as far as you want. The CEO himself, he was a graduate, so there's no limit to what you can do. It's just putting yourself out there and getting the knowledge and experience, because there's so much room for development at National Grid. So yeah, there's no limit on what you can do.
Amazing. On to the next one. Here's a question from Laurel. Hello, National Grid team. I'm joining with my Year 12 class. Hello, class. And I have a few questions. Is the training structured? We'll answer that, and then we'll go through the rest of them. So, is the training structured? Who wants to take that one?
I'd say the training is structured. So, as I mentioned briefly when I was giving a bit of an introduction, for my course, I spent 70% of the first time up at Eakring. During that time, I was starting to build my courses where I was learning how to do things, like the maintenance of different types of equipment. And I was running that alongside part-time on site and my qualification. So we get a timetable at the start of the year, and that will show you where you're meant to be, what you're meant to be doing at very specific times. And then you get that for every year of your apprenticeship. So you always know what you're going to be doing and where you're expected to be. The only bit that's not structured is when you're actually out on site, you're expected to go and find the jobs you need for your logbook.
Okay. and they say to the apprentices, what are the biggest challenges you have faced and how did you overcome them?
I think we kind of already answered that question just before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I will put a little bit on that. The biggest challenge for me was spending a lot of time away from home. I hadn't really done that, but the amount of facilities they offer and how close you get with the rest of the people on your apprenticeship, it does help. And obviously you are coming back at weekends, so get your time at home still.
Amazing. Is there any other skills you've gained throughout National Grid that you didn't have beforehand?
I think, I'm not sure if it's the same, I believe it is with the apprenticeship scheme, but as well as obviously the skills you're learning with your professional qualification, you do have the opportunity to pick up other skills like decision making, learning how to properly present to people. There's so many courses and opportunities for you to develop your personal skills and not just your professional skills as well, which definitely set you up to succeed in the long term. So I think that's definitely one that I would pick up on, those different training courses in between.
Amazing. Now here's a big question from Nina. What would you say is your best thing about working at National Grid? Should we go through everyone? Who's first up?
Well, for me, it would be the training itself and the hands-on job. So when I go to site, I'm just on the equipment, and when I go to university, it can be a bit stressful. I went to the shop and just love enjoying and just get dirty and get just hand job work. That's best for me, to be honest.
I'd say for me, it's being my individual self and feeling like I'm actually being heard. Everyone within the team has a voice. So even being an apprentice, I feel like my ideas and thoughts are always heard as well.
For me, I would say definitely I would say it's a cross between, I guess, the culture and the development opportunities that are available. Just, I guess, having the option, like you've got the possibility to develop into whatever you put into it, as I've said before, but they're so welcoming as a company. I was a sort of changed career paths from law into finance and had no knowledge, and everyone was incredibly supportive when doing so. Everyone's got time for you, basically, whether they're on your level, whether they're senior members of the business. You can ask questions to anyone and they will put the time in to give you a response. That doesn't feel like a hierarchy at all. It's just a very, very friendly company to work within.
Amazing. From Ahmad now, is the minimum residency criteria a requirement for all the higher apprenticeships provided by National Grid?
So can you repeat that again? I missed the first part.
Is the MRC, the minimum residency criteria, a requirement for all the higher apprenticeships provided by National Grid?
Was that MRC? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Guys, are you able to answer that?
I don't think that's something we do, to be honest. I'm not sure about that, because we do provide accommodation when we come here in Ukraine and university. I don't know about residency.
I will get past that.
I can put input that you do have to be available to either relocate or move to your work zone. So you will have to be within that facility. So
yeah, I think it's 45 minutes.
On the next one from Fern, what was it like for you guys balancing your work and your life when you came into the schemes?
I think it's naturally quite a challenging thing to do. I think finance would differ from the other apprenticeship schemes. I'm not sure how much on away from this they are training, whether that be in Eton or whatnot. Whereas in finance, obviously you're coming into the office on a day-to-day basis. 20% is doing your studies, but It is a difficult balance, but there's lots of support available to you with if you have a buddy most likely, and a business coordinator to support you and help you with any issues you've got where you're finding it difficult. So as long as you're vocal about any struggles or difficulties you're having with that, there's support available to you to help you and manage and find that right balance between the two.
From Millie now, is there opportunities for level 5+ apprenticeships?
There definitely is in finance. As I said, once you finish the level 4, you then get the opportunity to roll on to the level 7, where you do your chartered accountancy qualification, and at that point then you'd roll off the level 7 scheme as a chartered accountant and be offered a place, providing everything was successful, offered a place within the National Grid Finance Department. So yeah, definitely within finance is that opportunity for further development. I'm not sure if you guys can
I believe we have got opportunities for that as well within the transmission network. Shirali mentioned earlier about coming out at a level 4 authorised person's position from his role. After that, there is opportunities, obviously, to move up to SAP. You can even go to commissioning engineer, advanced commissioning engineer, and senior commissioning, which they also require the extra training available, which you can do through National Grid.
To contract that as well, what about the lower levels? Do you have 2 and 3 level apprenticeships as well?
I don't believe we have a level 2, but I am currently on the level 3, and that will allow you to come in at the fitter role that I'm going to be doing.
Amazing. Question from Karina now. What does the logbook consist of? Is there any pre-reading you can do for the job to understand it more than the job description?
The logbooks for us, we get given, so we have an entire platform online which shows us what we need in the logbooks. It will tell you all the criteria you need, and when it comes to pre-reading, you've got all of your course materials that you've been doing, so the logbooks feed off of what sort of things that we've already learned about or will be learning about. There's normally materials that we can find or have already accessed. So for example, I've done my training course on transformers, and now I have all my notes and my course materials from that. So when I go out and do a job on a transformer, I can pre-read over those. I know what I'll be expecting in the job. And when it comes to the job, we have a work pack that we follow. So it's all written out for you anyway as well.
Amazing. When you said transformer there, I instantly thought of Optimus Prime for some reason.
Also, there is, when you start the apprenticeship, you be successful, there's going to be buddy, or there's going to be previous apprenticeship, or the training that how to do it and how to carry out. So it's not going to be just give you a logbook and do it. So we'll train you before you do it.
Amazing. Cheers. Question from Mohammed now. Are there any degree apprenticeships available in the field of IT and digital?
Sorry, just coming off mute. We haven't currently got degree apprenticeships in IT and D, but a similar path to the other programs that we've mentioned. So coming in at a level 3 or 4 and then continuing. But National Grid are very good at developing their employees and encouraging continuous development and professional status.
Mm-hmm. Here's a good one. Is everyone friendly when you started? And what happens if you do get the job?
Everyone is so friendly. People knew my name within the first week of being up at Eakring. And of course, when you go down into your team, you're normally in team meetings, you're normally talking to everyone, you're on jobs with people, you start getting to know people really quickly. Yeah, everyone is super friendly and they're helpful. If you've got any questions, you can message just about anyone in the company. They will try and help you, or they'll put you to somebody that can help you.
Amazing. Is there any, question from me, is there any skills you, or these skills you maybe improved on that you didn't think you would improve on throughout the apprenticeship?
I think for me, confidence is a big one. When because we would go through the same application process as the apprenticeship scheme, and I would do a presentation section of the application, and it was very nerve-wracking, I guess, to get up and speak, because you're applying for a role, and stumbled on my words many times, had to stop for a drink. I couldn't get my way through the presentation. In my head, I was thinking, this has gone absolutely dreadfully. There's absolutely no chance that I'm going to get this role at all. But obviously they look past that and they look at what skills you can develop on, which was obviously for me public speaking, and through starting this scheme and having the opportunity to volunteer and speak with many different people doing those presentation skills, you start to pick up those skills without realizing, and then doing events such as this one becomes more comfortable, and you can, I guess, present and speak. Well, that's one that I have found that you unintentionally pick up on, I guess, developing your confidence.
Mm-hmm. Any others for you guys? Yeah, things you picked up on.
But
I was going to say, I could go along interpersonal skills. Most of the companies I've been with before, is very much you come in, you do your work, you clock out. Whereas being at National Grid, people remember you. They remember, even if you haven't been at Eakring, or if you haven't been to a site for a few months, you can turn up and they'll be like, oh, how was that going on when you was last up? What's been going on? Everyone likes to have an actual catch-up and an actual relationship with you. So it's trying to, sort of, my memory's always been poor, so it's been feeding into that and trying to really remember and get used to everyone, and actually build those relationships within the workplace and have friendships rather than just colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can find another question. We're getting one here. Can an international master's student apply for an apprenticeship?
I think that's where we would recommend they go for the graduate scheme. That's open to master's students. So there's plenty of opportunities for international master's student there, which are very similar to the apprenticeship schemes offered as well.
Mm-hmm. From how long do you get a job once you finish the apprenticeship?
Yep, you do. After the training, you go into what's known as a first post. But Charlie, do you want to say what you're going to say?
No, it's just fine. You continue.
Yeah, so get a permanent position. You go into, after the number of years training, you go into a first post. Jess, have you got any information about sort of types of first posts that you could share? I know you haven't quite got there yet.
So I already know that when I finish my apprenticeship, as long as I finish my endpoint assessment and interviews to come out in good standing, then I already have secured placement within my team. It's very similar for the HA apprentices as well, as I'm sure it is with some of the other positions. Once you've come out of that apprenticeship role, they do normally keep and have that place within the team that you've been working in. So you're already familiar with your area, your role, and what you're going to be fully doing. You're integrated and part of the team.
I would say, just touching on that, finance does differ slightly with, obviously, once you finish the level 4 and you move on to the level 7, there is the opportunity to have you get some flexibility with what placements you want to go into. There is an option for you to then choose certain areas of the business. So when you come off the level 7, it would be very similar to us finance graduates, in that you would then you wouldn't necessarily be put into the same area where you've got your placements previously. If there's a particular area of the business that interests you, you can then go on to inquire about those positions, and it's, I guess, like an internal application. Everyone, I would say, I think everyone that I've known from the finance graduate scheme then goes on to the role after that, which would be the same with the level 7, but it's not sort of chosen for you. There's some flexibility on where you would like to would like to be based.
Amazing, thank you. From Alexander, it's a good question. If he has any further questions after this webinar, how would he contact National Grid?
Email our careers.box and one of the team will pick up and respond as quickly as possible.
Amazing. Let's see if we've got any other questions I haven't said yet. Are there any questions you guys can think of?
I can see one about accommodation, one at the training centre and university examples,
I think I answered that already.
Yeah, so as Shirali's already said, you've got what we call the lodge on site at Eakring. It provides you with a room. It's much like feels a bit like a Premier Inn or a proper hotel. You've got your own ensuite room, double bed, TV, and they've got on-site facilities such as the gym, outdoor gym area, football pitch. We've got a lake. We've got the bar area with pool table and a snooker table, darts facility. And then I think Shirali could probably answer a bit better in regards to university.
Yeah, to be honest, the university is even a bit better, even with the stress and the stuff. So normally they book your hotel for you, but after a certain time you book your own hotel. Again, it's going to be in the budget, so you choose any location you want. And obviously in the center of Birmingham, New Street, so there's the shops around everything you can think of. So you go to university, do your lecture, and then come around and enjoy. But
to expand on that, did you find that easy? That process?
Yeah, the thing is easy. The university can be a bit challenging because again, it's that there all the time, so you will be learning. So you come back and learning, catch up and stuff. But staying there is better because there's a university close by, so you can just pop out to the library in midnight. Anything you stuck, any computer doesn't work, there's a computer in the library stuff around. There's a lecture room close to you, so the facilities are a lot there. And just again, how you use it.
Perfect. Question from Vivek there. Have the apprenticeships opened? As I have looked, and they're currently not open.
They are open. They've been open since December and they're due to close on the 6th of March. Again, any issues with trying to find the roles, please do let us know. But if you go into the website and type in apprenticeships, it should bring up the roles that are currently available, and there are quite a few on there.
Amazing. Cheers. Well, that is all the questions we have today. Big thank you to the team at National Grid for joining us today and taking us through their offering, sharing their experiences and answering your questions. You'll find it insightful. Thank you for everyone joining. The roles are also advertised on Career Maps. Please take a look. And if you have missed anything, remember it is recorded and it'll be on our website within later in the week. So guys at National Grid, do you have any final advice for our listeners?
I just hope you've all found this informative. Hopefully you'll put an application in. If there are any queries at all, please just email the dot box. But yeah, obviously just take that time when you're doing your application. Take the time to complete it where you can, where there's no disturbances, and good luck.
Thank you very much, guys. You all have a good National Apprenticeship Week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.